Hello everyone, this is Ketu Estavia. Now I really don't like talking about this Twitter drama shit, but one thing really catches my attention, and honestly I can't ignore it. I can't get away from it. I wasn't going to make a video, but I figured out I might as well because of the 7th of July incident. Now, one of the most condescending Twitter accounts, which still hasn't been mainstream, is the anti-lewd RP nun. The account influences postmodern deconstructionism and speculative realism regarding the limitation of pedophilia, which is a cause that I do support because I don't like pedophiles. But what the nun does is take it to a step further. Just imagine if the solution to solving all of humanity's problems was by killing off every person in the most horrible way possible. It's just not going to happen. Removing lewd RP to limit pedophiles is like taking cars to prevent people from dying. It's, God, it's kind of dangerous thinking. Just incites another failing prohibition through the means of breaching guidelines or unlawfully abusing Twitter functions. Which, yes, granted, I'm not sure if it's actually a crime wherever this nun is. But I'm definitely sure that abusing Twitter functions to support an almost fascist form of totalitarianism is a pretty shitty idea, and it's something Twitter probably won't uh, do and support. I never cared until 7th of July incident, an incident resulting in the surprise seizure of a couple Twitter accounts, including myself, and at least two other people. So as of now, there are 3 confirmed people who have been hit by this tragedy. Me, Jonas, and Otago. Now, all blame pointed to the nun and her polarizingly fascist ideology. When you think about it, who else was there? No one hated me at the time. An online ethnic cleansing of people who are perverted in her eyes. And this could mean anybody. Now, just think about it like this. People make a living off of selling lewd art. You know, the porn industry is actually a very lucrative business. A business which actually fills pockets. And it's what actually helps freelancers pay for college and funding and stuff. And, well, surprisingly, or I should say unsurprisingly, it's what keep people alive during these trying times. But of course, our peers is a different subject. People do that shit for free. And, of course, by booting off lewd our peers, she limits freedom of expression of an art. An art many may disagree with, but an art that shall be expressed with dignity and shall be respected. After all, you probably wouldn't like it if I said, yes, here's a group that I don't care about. Screw all these white people. Screw all these Germans. And screw all the people who like anime. I'm gonna fuck them all in my UFO horny disintegrator beam. And Lewd RP has its ups and downs with this whole evolve of professionalism. It has actually allowed people to have all these pins. You could figure out what's going on. People take fan art of the game and put their imaginations in it. People do actually a lot of good stuff. It bonds people together. But yes, on the dark side, there is drama, there is hate, and there's a bunch of awful people. But it happens in any faith. It happens in any hobby. It happens in any faction ideology. But all has been failed to be recognized by the nun. And yes, LewdRP allowed many to connect. And by targeting all participants under the guise of pedophilia elimination, she slanders everyone. Which, yes, I can imagine is something illegal. It almost feels like this was planned. By using COVID to cleanse the community to fulfill a greedy need that is nothing less than egregious behavior. It seems the nun's dubious reputation was well deserved after all. To take advantage of a disaster, which Twitter being bogged down by all this coronavirus shit, this egregious behavior not only becomes unmoderated, but because Twitter is so slow to act, they feel like it's safe to just ban somebody. And begins Act 1, Undeserved Justifications. So the nun has on a grand scale made some gravely false narratives that she is right for abusing a function to censor individuals, especially to whom consent, which in every single interaction I've had with the community, it was based on consent. And it really depends on how mature the fandom is. If it was like fucking 18 plus SpongeBob, which I would be surprised is an actual thing, I'd actually get it. But if you're getting something like Azur Lane, you can expect the community to be mostly 18-year-olds. Now, while these goddamn lolicons are running around assuming those accounts fall in the Asian majority, well, despite my abstained voting, I would have to count that as age play, as much as I disagree. However, if they post lewd content, it falls onto a gray area determinant to that of the country of the parties. Of course, we're talking about the EU, where lolicon and shotacon is banned, and the US, which somehow is legal in. Don't ask why. I don't know. So lecture aside, I'm focusing on my 18-year-old male character, who's interested in female adults. Because I prefer older women. Don't ask what kind, okay? We're not here to discuss my kinks. So the nun fails to understand and decides she'll just ban everyone. Got to the point where her family was threatened. Which honestly is a shitty retort to a less shitty person. But that reply to the threat did not do any favors. I'll post a link in the description to that, but yeah, in that case, a threat to a family is obviously just a fucking stupid and low blow. And you will never see me ever threaten a family to a person who's shitty. I don't care if that person's Adolf Hitler, his family doesn't deserve to suffer the consequences for accidentally shitting out some creepy mustache man who failed art college. So the nun brought this to light, which is a good thing to do. Obviously, it's pretty great to say, hey, this is happening. What the hell is going on? But this was discounted a bit by the statement claiming that she has a sign she must be right. Of course, if Hitler's family was being threatened, it doesn't make it feel right for him to say, hey, I guess killing 6 million people of people I don't like is a good idea. But of course, I'm just exaggerating on a scale. So we're gonna have Act 2. I titled this one The Sob Story. I call it a story because I can't verify it. I don't have some Gandalf teleporting time travel back to the future magic shit. The nun has created an unsavory dumpster fire on her website. The story, although unverifiable, presents a narrative where the nun met a friend being forced into lewd roleplay. Granted, that has happened. That actually happened to me once, and I caved, but it didn't result into the same disaster which occurred. It was more like a kick in the ass for me. But my story aside, it only brought more questions. The story. The victim of the lewd RP didn't think to block or report. I mean, seriously, what the hell is this madness? If someone's forcing some shit on you, block or report. And honestly, the story's not adding up. Twitter has an automated not safe for work block feature, and you would have to deliberately search this shit up. The crux of the issue is the idea of protecting yourself from the people who force stuff on you, which should be what we should push for. It's like how teenage pregnancies in the U.S. Go. You shouldn't be saying, you know what, let's ban all sex and stuff. What you should be doing is say, shit, you shouldn't have sex, but in case you do, here's a condom, here's some pills, and you put the condom on the labia and feed the guy the pills, I don't know. What I'm saying is people need to be more aware of how to block. Because if they don't want to see these content, they block. They shouldn't say, hey, I'm going to allow this person to wreak unholy havoc into the DMs for a few minutes. Because if someone's being shitty, the community is going to eventually outcast them, and the outcasted account is eventually going to be forced to leave Twitter, or they're going to get suspended. That's how social media works. And social media is a platform for the freedom of expression of art, religion, and speech, to name a few. And our peers haven't enough. And most operate with such care, taking time and effort into creating a story, like I do. Taking time and... oh, fuck, I said that. The majority of us ask for consent. And those who don't are usually simps or horny children who seek out lewd roleplay to fill out their perverted desires. And the latter is actually a real issue which the nun never wishes to admit. There are actually horny underage people who sometimes may be fucking around trying to get some sex, and the way I've limited this is by setting a lit cap. You must be semi-literate in order to pass, because most children shouldn't be able to hoist the amount of English that even I would have. And yes, I got to admit, I'm pretty good at English. And now, on to Act 3. Flying the flag. And if anything, the nun is outraging the entire community and she deserves the criticism she sought out for. Her ideology of destroying a form of art has costed her the respect of myself and other people, and she will definitely not earn it back on that account from me. Her generic excuses of creating a policy that feels good creates a policy which doesn't do good. And you know what? This concludes my speech. That's it. See ya.